Welcome to another edition of the Five Star Zone. I'm your host, Rico Beard. Howard Griffith from the Big Ten Network, kind enough to join us pre-Thanksgiving, pre-big game, Michigan, Ohio State. Howard, let's just jump right into this. This game has a different feel. This is already a big game, but now I look at it. Whoever loses this game, how do you go home? Like if Ryan Day loses with no Jim Harbaugh on the sideline, does he have to take an alternate route back to Columbus? And if you're Michigan, if you lose, does that almost discredit the last two wins you had against Ohio State? I mean, or am I just reading too much into this?
No, I think particularly from Ryan Day's perspective in Ohio State, I mean, you think about the immense pressure that's there already for losing to Michigan 2 years in a row. And then you couple that with not having Jim Harbaugh on the other sideline, and you take a loss there, that's going to be tough, right? I mean, we know both fan bases really want this game and know how important it is. But I think when you look at it, there's so much pressure on Ohio State to finally get over the hump. And for Michigan has, kind of been Michigan for the last, couple of years. And you look at last week's game, I think you probably have some people that were really solid behind Michigan as far as who will win this game. After watching them last week, I'm sure some other people will say, well, wait a minute, Ohio State is looking really good.
Yeah.
So it'll be fascinating to see, but it's absolutely immense pressure. I think more pressure that's on Ohio State than it is Michigan going into this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who looked at that game, including Las Vegas. That line is dropped to, I think it's like the last time I checked, I think it's Michigan like 3.5-point favorites, and figuring you get 3 points for being at home. Vegas is saying what I'm saying. You flip a coin for this one because Ohio State is playing a lot better football, but then I have to look at the caliber of teams that they were playing. You played Michigan State and you played Minnesota. No disrespect to those two teams.
Yep.
Not Big Ten powerhouses. You went out there and you did what great teams are supposed to do to subpar teams. You hammered them. Michigan, Penn State, top 5 defense. Maryland.
Yeah.
Maryland is the Forrest Gump team. Howard, it's like you never know what you're going to get until you line up and kick the ball. You don't know if it's good Maryland, bad Maryland. You don't know. But in that game, they did just enough. They won the game. Talia Tagovailoa, a lot of bad mistakes, and I'm sure he wishes he can go back to redo. But Michigan asserted themselves and got ready for this game. We don't have to deal with will Harbaugh be on the sideline or not. They accepted the fact that he just won't be there. If you're Sharon Moore, what's that like as that interim coach going into a game of this magnitude?
I don't know that we've seen it. I mean, I'm thinking, trying to rack my brain. Obviously, in this matchup, we haven't seen it. But you think about the importance of this game and just the magnitude of the rivalry. I don't know if we've ever seen a situation where two rivals like this were going against each other and one had a interim coach in place and the teams were so close.
Right. I mean, I guess you would go back to when Luke Fickell took over that year.
Yeah. But even then, they were struggling. Ohio State still wasn't playing like Ohio State to me when Luke had taken that team over. But you think about where these two teams are and how they're playing and just the magnitude. I think it'll be quite easy for them to set some viewership records for this particular matchup. But I think there's immense pressure also on the Michigan sideline. And you think about Sharon Moore having to not only he's going against a really talented defense. This is not a team that you're going to have to really be strategic in your play calling as you try to set things up. And he really, to some degree, hasn't had to, I guess, have that type of play calling pressure on him to this point. I think he's going to be fine because I think he's going to be, he's really close to being head coach in this league or any league for that matter. I think he's that talented and that good at what he does. But you still, I mean, there's reps to it. You got to take reps. You talk about taking over a storied program, because that's what she's really doing for this particular game. You know, this is Marcus Freeman-like, because I mean, you don't know until your first head coaching job is, you know, at a major place where everybody's going to be looking at every decision you make. And yes, he was able to get the 1,000th win. They've done, you know, while he was coaching them, but this is a different animal. You know, Ryan Day is a outstanding play caller. He's gonna try to put that defense in conflict. So Sharon Moore is gonna have to come up with the best game plan possible, and I think they'll be able to come up with one. It comes down to being able to execute it.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this game and you're talking about game planning, I guess I didn't realize how much this team would miss Jim Harbaugh. And it was funny because, you know, John Jansen kind of put it best. Former Wolverine offensive lineman, played in the NFL. I think he may have even done some stuff at the BTN. But he was like, well, if you don't think that the coach matters, then imagine if the Lions did everything that they had to do. And then at the last second, Dan Campbell just says, okay, see you guys. I'm going home, eat popcorn. I'm going to watch the game. And then when he said it like that, it was like, well, yeah, I guess it really does matter if your head coach is on the sideline or not. You know, Michigan, especially these last couple of games, you know, the defense has not been what they were when Harbaugh was on the sideline. Yeah, giving up 57 points the first 8 weeks. They've given up 53 points in the last 3 weeks. Yep. Not necessarily, you know, that game plan that you're hoping for. You thought that defense was a lot better. You look at JJ, when Jim Harbaugh is there, I think he's almost perfect. He's thrown no interceptions. When Harbaugh is not on the sideline, just really head-scratching games. Like, I guess I didn't think that missing this man, they would miss this man that much, but I wonder, can you overcome him not being on the sideline, or is there something that he could say to them on Friday before the game? Because I don't think you can have that type of, you know, lapses in defense, and JJ can just kind of be, all right. I don't think you'll be able to run the ball 35 straight times against this Buckeye defense. What does Harbaugh have to say to his team to get them motivated, to get them to go out there and get this victory?
You know, the way I've put it, and I think John is right when he talks about, you know, having your head coach on the sideline. You know, sometimes when you think about X factors and, you know, in the glue, you may be talking about the number 2 tight end being able to come in and be able to make some plays, or a guy like Sonny Styles that I think is going to have a big part of this game for Ohio State, to be able to come down and play versus the run and also play versus the pass. When you think about Jim Harbaugh, he really is that X factor, right? Because when he's on the field, I mean, guys move around different. There's different energy, and he knows how to press the buttons of every person on that roster. And I think, you know, when you think about it, yes, he lets his coordinators coordinate and do their thing and make their calls, but it's still important that he's up and down that sideline looking at guys. I mean, we joke sometimes about him slapping JJ on the shoulder pads and hitting him in the chest.
That may mean something.
It absolutely does to this team. All of that stuff means something. So, you know, I think the magnitude of the game will have the players dialed in. The question becomes, right, and it's never a problem as a play caller until you come up with that 4th and 1 or 4th and inches. What's the call going to be? You know, do we go? Do we not? There's going to be some calls like that in this game. And I'm sure they have gone through it, different scenarios, all the possible scenarios that you could have. But then you're in that moment, and he's got to go and make the right call. Now, making the right call is it being executed. That's really what it comes down to, making the right call. That this needs to be executed. So, you know, he's going to rely heavily on his coaching staff, and his players have got to play their very best. But, there'll be some challenges. And if they can get into a rhythm, Michigan being where they're able to run the ball, do play action, that's going to be huge for them, because I think that's the rhythm that they want to play. You look at Ohio State, they want to spread this thing out, but this is a totally different thing, offense and team, since Henderson is gotten back and really back at 100%. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. Man. Yeah, this is going to be a fun game, because when I look at both teams, I don't know if it's been a while since they've been so evenly matched when you go position by position. Whether you're talking about the backfield, you can flip a coin there if you want to. The offensive line, Ohio State, his offensive line is playing so much better right now. You look at Michigan's offensive line, they've struggled at times, but that's still an elite group. You look at the wide receivers, you probably give the nudge, obviously, to Ohio State. But then when you go on the defensive side, I think it just depends upon what style of play you want. These teams are so evenly matched right now that, as I've said before, it's going to come down to execution and who's able to make sure that they're not turning the ball over and letting people run free through the secondary.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned TreVeyon Henderson, and that was my next question. Like, if you're Ohio State, do you lean more on him, or do you try to get Abuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Stover, the tight end, and really try to stretch the field with them? Or do you just hammer the ball and you just go back to the old days of Bo and Woody and we just going to run the ball down your throat?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a combination. I think you'll see Marvin Harrison move around the formation. Stover will be a big part of it. I think both tight ends are going to be big parts of the game plan because when Ohio State has had some issues defensively, it's been in the middle of the field with a talented tight end. And they're going to be playing against a couple of them when you look at this Michigan tight end group. So, I think both of those guys are going to be big parts of it, but it's going to go back and forth, and you're going to have to be able to score touchdowns. That getting inside the red zone and kicking field goals. Yeah. That's not going to win you this game.
Field goals
not going to win because both of these teams can. Yeah, both of these teams can take it to the house. And be explosive and being able to do that.
So, Howard, who's a surprise player, somebody that people need to watch out for Michigan, for Ohio State in this game?
Man, I keep going back to Sonny Styles, and he's a linebacker hybrid player. I mean, he's just so talented. He can cover, he can get down and get in the box. He's one of those guys that, to me, will be a big part of it, because if Ohio State or if Michigan wants to go try to spread you out and see what you do, he can still come down in the box. Sometimes when you spread teams out, that gives you an advantage to the run game, and you have numbers there. But when you have a guy that can also hold up as a linebacker, that becomes a difference maker. And also, he'll be able to kind of keep an eye on exactly where JJ is going. I thought what Ohio State did in keeping Talia inside the pocket and forcing them to stay inside was pretty much what you're going to see this Ohio State team. They'll need to be able to do that once again. I think Roman Wilson for Michigan, I mean, he's got to be there. Right. I know what his injury status is going to be, but I think this is one of those games, it doesn't really matter. He's going to figure out how to be on.
See, I don't know, because remember, I mean, yes, they didn't need him, but remember, Blake Corum was one of those, he's going to play through it. Blake went out there for like a play or two and was like, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this. Now, Donovan Edwards took over and didn't miss a beat. And, because when I look at this, I'm sitting there saying, okay, well, which quarterback would feel the most pressure? Is it JJ because it's expected you at home? You got to be the leader of this team. Is it Kyle McCord because this, CJ Stroud couldn't get it done? Can you get it done? Can you right this ship? I don't know. I mean, I guess the good thing for McCord, you played at Notre Dame at night in front of a hostile crowd, and you guys found a way to win. If you're JJ, you kind of been struggling, but it almost sets up for a fairy tale ending going out there and beating the Buckeyes. Which quarterback you feel like has a little more pressure?
Well, I think to me, you look at McCord, he's gotten better each week. And yes, he's been able to, I think he's benefited by that run game becoming more explosive now that Henderson is back. So he's been able to work that. But one of the things he did early was he wanted to get it to the tight end, right? So it wasn't a situation where he was putting the ball in harm's way early in the season. Now, people didn't like the dink and dunk type stuff,
right?
But he's now gained confidence where now all of a sudden he's throwing up those 75-25 balls to Harrison, and he's coming down with them because they're not 50-50 when you're throwing to him.
No,
but I think his so I really like where he is right now because he's trending up. He's been consistent and has continued to get better. JJ, on the other hand, I think because JJ can make the plays he can make with his legs, and they're going to need him to do that sometime in this game, he can sometimes put the ball in harm's way, and he can sometimes make some questionable throws if he's under pressure. But I would think that there is an immense amount of pressure on JJ to get this done because of the expectations and what they've been dealing with the entire year, right? He's a guy that knows that he's the key to this team, not just the offense, but the team. So if he's playing well and he's got the mojo going, man, they're going to be tough to beat because now you look at some third down, it might be 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. All of a sudden he rolls out or he doesn't roll out. He just steps up in the pocket and makes a guy miss and he's gone. He has the ability to make those plays. So, knowing that he can make those plays and wanting to make those plays, I think it's going to be a big part of the game. And so I would probably say there's more pressure there for JJ because the expectations are that you're the best quarterback on the field and you have to go out and prove it when the ball's in your hands.
All right. And so, Howard, I'm going to end this with this. I'm going to let you be a pseudo prognosticator.
Okay.
Oh, Michigan wins this game if, and Ohio State wins this game if.
I think Michigan wins the game if they can make this game what it has been the last couple of years. The physical point at the point of attack, being able to run it. When they needed to throw it, they were able to. Coming up, I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, coming up with some turnovers would be huge. But I think being who they are and being able to stay in the mode that Michigan football has been for the last 3 years. The run game hasn't been where it's been the last 2 years. I think we just should acknowledge that. So I don't know that Ohio State is fearful of what they've seen on tape compared to where they've seen a few years ago or last year, the year before. I think Ohio State wins the game if Marvin Harrison if he has 3 touchdowns. I think the game is Ohio State because
if he's got 3 touchdowns, he's sitting in New York.
Yeah, I just think that the way they're playing right now, 2 weeks ago, there's no doubt in my mind Michigan was going to win this game. But after the last couple of weeks of watching Ohio State, this thing is just like we talked earlier. It's a pick 'em, man. It really is, because this thing is going to come down to who doesn't make the mistakes at the critical points and being able to execute. But this is going to be, and I think that's the beauty of it. And I'm kind of glad it's this way now because you don't know, really. I mean, people can sit around and say, well, yeah, it's Michigan, Ohio State, but I don't think more people are probably like, wow, this is going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it'll be close. It'll come down to the fourth quarter. Be shocked if one of these teams just delivers a knockout blow in the first half. It's possible, but I would be shocked if that happened. I think this is going to come down to the fourth quarter and be one for the ages.
So, Howard, let's go to the rest of the league. And I guess, like, if you're when you're looking at some of the other teams, like some teams are like trying to get that bowl bid and they want to get that 6 win. Mm-hmm. Some already have them. But what do you say to your team in the final week if you don't know, there's no chance of going to a bowl game? You're Walters, you're Barnett. Like, what is your speech to the team to say, guys, I need you to go out here and let's, is it just let's finish the job? Because there's no motivation, there's nothing on the line. This is going to be your last game of the season. What do you say to the players?
Yeah, I think if you're particularly Purdue, I mean, this is a rivalry game for them, right? They can give you some bragging rights. You go into the off season or the off season with a little momentum, at least feeling good about yourself. You walked away from a season that obviously was a disappointment if you're Purdue, but there were some signs that they're going in the right direction. So I think you just have to say, hey, guys, let's finish it, because that's really what it comes down to. You guys are still going to be playing for positions next year. Guys that won't be back are playing for possible more tape draft stock that's out there. So I think there's still a lot for these players to play for, individually. But it's nothing better than if your season hasn't gone right and you get a win at the end. Yeah. Okay, then we were at least able to win our last game and go off and send the seniors out the right way.
Do you treat it like a bowl game?
Being able to go. I don't know if you can treat it like a bowl game, because the reality is.
Well, I guess the reason why I say, hold on, I say that for, like, if you're especially like you're the coaching staff, we're gonna empty the playbook out. We're gonna trick plays. We going for it. We running fake punts like because there literally is no tomorrow. This is it for us for this season. Especially with Indiana and Purdue, neither one going to a bowl game. Just kind of say F it. Let's just go out here and play and have fun.
Yeah, I think you have to let it go and be loose, right? And be as loose as you can. But Indiana, to me, the way they finished up last week was kind of disappointing toward the end of the game, or at the end of the game. So they've got some stuff that they would like to do. I mean, again, this has been a disappointing season for both teams. Both teams had high hopes, and Michigan State had high hopes as well. But we are where we are right now, right. And you just got to go out and compete. And if you're a competitor, you're going to want to be out there doing your best and giving your best, because what you put on film is going to follow you if you're coming back next year. If you're Michigan State, it's if new coach coming in, evaluating what's out there. I know most coaches come in and they say, well, I'm just going to throw that out and just deal with everyone has a clean slate. But I think the truth is they look back and they grade the film and they take a look to see what's happening. Right. It's about going out and just giving it your best. And I think that's what it comes down to. And hey, if you're a team on the brink like Illinois, sitting there needing a win to get a bowl bid, it's a lot to fight for. They have had a disappointing season as well. So all of a sudden, getting a bowl bid, no matter what that bowl is, gives you that extra 15 practices or so, and gives you an opportunity to tell your recruits to get excited about, hey, listen, we struggled a little bit, but we're in the right direction and doing the right thing. So come on and join us. So that extra game is huge.
Yeah, I mean, because you got Nebraska, Minnesota. Yep. Illinois all got a bowl bid on the line. All of them want to get that extra game, because it's funny because like State fans would always make fun of the Quick Lane Bowl played at Ford Field. Like, man, nobody want to play in that bowl game. Right now, they would jump on that opportunity just to play one more game. So, yeah, for those who have a bowl on the line, I can see. But I always wonder with those who you really don't. You got players, especially with the portal now, you kind of checked out. Like, are you really even giving it your all? Or are you already trying to see where you're going next year? Or I've just wondered, like, if you're a coach, how do you galvanize and get that team back together and say, guys, we got to finish this job. It didn't go our way, but we finished strong, and let's just go out and have some fun. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and you're right, but I think some of the other things that you mentioned, whether or not guys are going to be looking ahead to maybe I'm going to get in the portal, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm done. So why do I want to go out here and injure myself? There's so many different things that go into it, but you've just got to hope that you have the right guys that are on your team. And the fact that the guys they're playing next to, they're buddies that they've been there for 3, 4, 5 years together. You want to play hard for them. And I think that's one of the reasons they all talk about, hey, we need to send the seniors out the right way. Because if you have respect for those guys that have been leaders on your team, you're going to dial in and try to make sure that you're able to come up with the win. Now, obviously, it doesn't work out for every senior class, but at least that's one way of trying to press all the right buttons for your team to go out and play as hard as they can. Now, if you got bad leadership, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares then. But if you have some guys that have laid it on the line, played injured, done everything that they were supposed to do to help the program and the university to move forward, then you're going to play as hard as you can for those guys.
So, Howard, I'm going to leave with the most important question. Are you a ham or a turkey guy?
I'm a turkey guy. I'm a turkey guy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes it's deep fried. I love a fried turkey.
Man, who doesn't?
I'm all about the spice.
Okay. No, I mean, because I've actually thought about, and I may do it another time or to practice for next Thanksgiving. But I saw this for this smoked turkey, where you spatchcock it, you lay it out flat, and it comes out juicy. So I know some people.
Well, that's what they.
Go ahead.
That's what they're saying when you lay it out flat. That's the best. They say that's the best way to do it. Plus, it cuts the cooking time probably in half.
Yes, it does. 2.5 hours.
Well, so you're not spending as much time in the kitchen.
So yeah, I mean, I know some people ham, some people turkey. I was always wondering, what's your favorite side?
Man, where are you on that? Where are you? Are you going?
You know what? Ham is the safest bet because it's hard to have bad ham. Turkey. If you get it done right, it's delicious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People can.
If it's not,
there's more room for error.
There's a lot of cranberry sauce you're putting on top of it.
Trying to dress that thing up. Yep.
Yeah, let's put a little bit more of that. Let's mix it in with a lot. If I can eat the turkey stand alone, that means it's good turkey and I like it.
There you go.
But a lot of people can't make turkey. They think they can, but they can't. We're saying ham is that. I know what it's going to be. Ham is McDonald's of Thanksgiving. You know exactly what it may not be the best,
right?
But I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised.
There you go.
What about your side? What's your favorite side?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm a
we ask deep questions here.
Yeah, I'm a mac and cheese guy, but my dressing is, I'm all about. I'll have the regular dressing, but oyster dressing. One of my aunts makes is phenomenal.
See, folks, that's that other side of the railroad tracks dressing. That's the rich folks right there. Us po folks, oysters. You mean like in crackers? You know what? I'm simple, and people always make fun of me, but I'm real. I like mashed potatoes. I do.
Okay.
I mean, people are like, well, you gotta have this. Like, I'm good. If you got some good good turkey and give me a nice helping of mashed potatoes, man, I'm good. Especially like my sister, how she makes them. Uh-huh. And then actually my radio partner gave me this recipe he had, and I was just like, man, where did this come from? But yeah, it's like you got to get this special type of white cheese and mix in there, and I was just like, it was a hit. Let's put it like that. When I served it was a hit. I'm a mashed potatoes guy, so yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Solid.
So yeah. Solid. Howard, go enjoy the turkey.
Yeah.
Go have some fun.
And you have a great one as well, man.
I think the game Saturday, I think whoever gets the lead early is going to turn it into a boat race. I think if Michigan gets it, then all the emotion, all the adrenaline is just going to pile in, and they're going to wax Ohio State. And I think conversely, if Ohio State jumps out early, I think that all the pressure will finally just bust that pipe. And I don't see it being that close game. I just think that, and God forbid, whoever loses it, it's going to be It's going to be a rough week. Let's just put it like
a rough couple of weeks.
Right. All right, Howard. Appreciate you doing this. And hey, we take this on Wednesday. So if anything new happens on Michigan, we didn't know about it. So that's why we didn't
right.
talk about it. But Howard, enjoy your Thanksgiving. I want everybody out there watching and listening, enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll be back for a Big Ten Championship Week pod come next week. But right now, for Howard Griffith, the Big Ten Network, I'm Rico Beard. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Keep liking, subscribing, watching. Tell your friends about the 5-Star Zone. We will be back next week.